Hey guys, it is currently 12:58 on the 22nd, but we're going to go ahead and talk about April 14th through the 20th. I completely spaced that my notebook was full and that I needed to film a work in progress video, so a day late, but that's okay. On the 14th, I wrote 1,026 words in the Gang War, edited 3 Camp Nano videos, wrote 220 words in Thundering Hooves, 870 in TE, 938 in TFL, headed to bed, slept in, and then had non-writing things to do, so that was all that I did that day, which brought my total for April 14th to 3,054 words. On the 15th, I picked up with PRV and 904 words there, 1,430 in The Poisoning of John Doe, 504 in Books and Badges, edited a Camp Nano and a Work in Progress video, wrote 204 words in Graham, 166 in Voice of the Wild Places Z, 928 in Pittman's Legend Valiant Fighter, 130 in King of Darkness, headed to bed, and then after I woke up I only worked on the untitled zombie novel thing, and that was 346 words, and that brought my total for April 15th to 4,612 words. On the 16th, I think I said that right, on April 15th I wrote 4,612, and then on to the 16th. I think that's what I said, but my brain doesn't process things most of the time. On the 16th I wrote 1,058 words in the Gang War, 322 in Thundering Hooves, 980 in TE, 992 in TFL, 450 in PRV, 236 in The Poisoning of John Doe, and then I headed to bed. Those counts, especially PRV and Poisoning of John Doe, was when I decided that I didn't care if I met the daily preferred count for those books, because I just wanted to keep moving, keep trucking along. So 404 words in Books and Badges after I woke up, 364 in Graham, 184 in Z, 90 in Pittman's Legend Valiant Fighter, 108 in King of Darkness, 190 in Untitled Zombie, and because I hurried through, I finally made it all the way back around to Letters from Madman. I'm going to grab my wrist brace real quick. BRB. Much better. Couldn't support the notebook anymore. I finally made it back around to Letters from Madman, edited 2,067 words there, and took 292 words in notes, and for the written count it brought my total to 5,670 words for April 16th. On the 17th I recorded a Days Gone video, and then edited that video, wrote 512 in the Gang War, 234 in Thundering Hooves, 760 in TE, 468 in TFL, 466 in PRV. My sister came over for supper, so I didn't get any more writing or editing done or anything like that, except for the 170 words in The Poisoning of John Doe that I managed to scrape together before 11. And that brought my total for April 17th to 2,610 words. On the 18th, I wrote 282 in the Gang War, 240 in Thundering Hooves, 458 in TE, 466 in TFL, 414 in PRV, 214 in The Poisoning of John Doe, 248 in Books and Badges, edited 2 Camp Nano videos, wrote 186 in Graham, 262 in Z, 144 in Pittman's Legend Valiant Fighter, 236 in King of Darkness, 150 in Untitled Zombie, and by that point it was 7:46 a.m., and I still had a headache, I was still dizzy, so I took a break from writing to game for a while with a little bit of Rapunzel research thrown in, and I'll get into showing you those in a second. And then I headed to bed. I still felt like garbage when I woke up, so I didn't do anything with Letters from Madman, but that all brought my total to 3,300 words written for April 18th. On the 19th, I edited 5 chapters of Letters from Madman, which was 4,119 words and 626 taken in notes. Wrote 1,018 in the Gang War, 234 in Thundering Hooves, 542 in TE, headed to bed, and managed to write 246 in TFL after I woke up, which brought my total for the 19th to 2,766. On the 20th, I only worked on Letters from Madman. I edited 3 chapters, and that was 5,902 words and 644 words in notes. That was all the writing I did that day, was 644 for the 20th. I slept like garbage. The animals woke me up a million times. I couldn't sleep comfortably. I was in pain. I tossed and turned on the very rare occasions that I was almost asleep, so I just didn't have the mental ability to edit once I woke up. But that brings my total for the month so far to 54,594 words written. So, although I'm not super happy with the way the latter part of these last seven days have gone, I'm very happy with the progress that I've made this month. Some weeks aren't great, some days aren't great, and that's just how it goes. The last several days, especially, editing Letters from a Madman has been killer. I didn't have enough time in between when I rewrote the book and when I started editing the book, so there wasn't enough of a break, so my brain is still tired from the rewrite edit from hell, and that's definitely part of what's affecting the editing process. And outside of that, I have a very nerve-wracking doctor's appointment coming up on Thursday, and I've been thinking about that a lot, and I think that's part of what's affecting it as well, and it's what's affecting my other writing when I'm not trying to work on only Letters from a Madman, and it's why those counts started declining with my other books. But the good news is that the Rapunzel research has helped keep me a little bit sane, if nothing else. And I just want to write down something from it yesterday first before I completely space it, because I haven't flipped my notebook over until just now. But the Rapunzel research is for a retelling that I want to do, and I can't remember if I've told you that at all yet, which is why I'm saying it now, but I want to do an LGBTQ romance retelling of Rapunzel, and I'm very excited for that. But the research that I've done was on the previous retellings, the original version from the Brothers Grimm, which is not the original story, by the way, but it's the one most people refer to. They also call it the original German tale, which also isn't true. Like, yeah, I think they're the first ones that did it in German, I think. Or they thought it was a German fairy tale, but it wasn't. But we got this page. And then so far, this one and this one. And then I have some notes that I need to transfer over here that are the, like, common aspects of all of the retellings, which is primarily, like, the long golden hair, that she's kidnapped and isolated. In one case, at least, she was adopted by the villain instead, the adopted daughter of, but I don't know if she was, like, kidnapped and the witch told her that she was just her adopted daughter, or how that plays out. She's usually locked away in a tower eventually and isolated somewhere, except for in Cress, I think, of the Lunar Chronicles, where it's like on a spaceship or a satellite or something like that. There's a lot of details in the Cress plot that I looked at, so I'm only half certain of which one of those it is. I think it's satellite, though. The love interest is usually injured, generally blinded, but not always, like in Tangled. He's not blinded. Generally, that injury is healed, and usually it's healed by Rapunzel's magic in one way or another. And all of the book or retellings tend to contain magic in some sense. Cress doesn't seem to. Cress is stem cells used to heal. Tangled is magic hair. Most of them are magic tears. And technically the injury in Tangled is also healed with magic tears. So that's a pretty common theme. The blinding is very common across the board. Usually she's I don't know. I was gonna say usually she wants to leave, but that's not true. Usually she's separated from the love interest, usually a prince, for a amount of time, and then they're reunited at the end. I think there's only a couple stories, one or two maybe, where they're not reunited after time apart, but that's usually the case. And especially since mine will be a romance, not like an adventure with a romance subplot, they have to have a happily ever after or a happy for now. That's required. It's the romance genre, not the drama genre. You can write I think it's a drama story or a slice of life story, either or. with a romance subplot or a romance feature, and they don't have to end up together, but if they don't end up together, it's not technically romance genre. That's an important distinction to make. But I need to transfer those notes for the common aspects into my notebook, but I've got them on my phone in the Notes app right now. And I'm very excited to write it. I've also been using the two main characters, Rowan and Bayard, to write snippets on Twitter for like the word prompts that take place over the week, because I'm not writing the story yet, and I'm doing my best not to until I finish at least one of my books. But that's kept me very excited to write this story eventually, and I'm very, very, I'm already in love with them both. I already am a pretty big fan of both main characters, and I already know more about them than I generally do at this point, because using them for the Twitter snippets have actually given me insight into the two characters, which is great. I normally don't have that going in, so I think when I finally start writing it, I'll know so much about them thanks to the Twitter prompts that things will hopefully go pretty smoothly, in regards to like character development and character interactions, because one of my bigger problems when I first start writing, because I'm a discovery writer and I don't know a ton about the characters when I begin, they're really flat at the beginning, their interactions are really weird and uncomfortable and awkward, then I have to fix it in editing, which I don't mind. I know them better by the end, so editing isn't a huge deal. But I think this time, because I'm learning so much about them through the Twitter prompts, is that I'll actually be able to go into it with them being a little less awkward and a little less uncomfortable and stiff, which I think is cool. If you're interested in seeing any of those Twitter prompts, my Twitter is linked in the description down below, and I post several of them in the morning, if I'm able to come up with a little snippet for those words. Not always, but I'm doing my best to post them relatively daily so far, and I've managed to keep that up, so we'll see how long that lasts. But I'm hoping that things go better in the next 7 days or whatever. Specifically with Letters from a Madman, I need to finish it so desperately. I need to finish this edit. I'm currently on chapter 27, and things are just slow. I didn't have, again, enough time after I finished the rewrite edit, but I chose last minute which book I was going to publish this year because the plan with the Carver Baxter series fell through because all of a sudden book 4 took forever, and so did book 5, compared to the other ones, and I was expecting them to go better, and they didn't. And I don't want to publish the first book until all of them are done, because I used to publish books before the whole series was done, and now I hate all of the series that I did that with. And waiting until the series is done allows me to change things in the previous books, if I discover more things later on in the series and stuff like that. So the last minute change required me to rewrite this pretty close to the editing stage, which sucks. And I'm doing my best to work through it, but it's very taxing, to say the least. And I'm hoping that things get better there. I'm doing my best to work through it without forcing myself to do it, without forcing myself to do it so often that I hate the book, because I don't want to hate the book. I do like these characters, I do like the plot, I think it's new in comparison to what I normally do, because most of my books follow a new crime scene, and that's it. It's a new crime, it's a new killer. But in this one, it's a killer specifically taunting the detectives that worked his case 20 years ago, and in the letters threatening to do it again, except for bigger and more deaths involved. And that's a new take on what I personally usually do. It's obviously not a new idea, it's just a new take on what I usually write. And I really like it. It just, the rewrite edit killed me. I mean, the rewrite edit was directly sent to me from hell. And it's been pretty taxing to have to go through it again so soon after the rewrite. And I should have found a way to better prepare for that, but it was impossible given the circumstances. And I'm doing my best, but I don't know. At worst, I won't publish a book this year, but we'll see what happens. But that is all that I have for this video, this work in progress video. I hope that the last week or so has been very good for you, and if it wasn't, I hope that next week is much better. But that is all that I personally have for this one. If you enjoyed this video, a like is always appreciated, and if you'd like to stay updated on my writing, my editing, the gaming videos I upload roughly every Friday, currently Camp Nano, or anything I do on this channel in between, feel free to subscribe. All the links to my authors pages, as well as links to my social media, are in the description down below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now.